Hi, class. So there's not much to talk about the quizzes. You're doing great. So let's talk about PM3. And so what PM3 is about is, again, this is a recitation. Now, these are the specs that you were given. Based on this, you should be able to come up with a network diagram. That's your first move. And so after you get the network diagram, though, you have to figure out the critical paths. And so, okay, you could do that by just adding up each duration. And here I have the durations here written out like this. Now keep in mind, we have a bunch of different data here. Now we have durations, we have the predecessors, we have the cost per machine. And that's that if I buy an extra machine, then this duration goes down. For example, what it's saying is I have one machine and it takes 1 day. Well, if I buy a second machine, then it should only take half a day. So as the problem says, 1 over 1 plus n. But that machine is going to cost me $1,000. Maybe I'm better off buying it from a different place. Now, I can't do the problem for you, but let's take a hypothetical because the processes are the same. So maybe you can figure it out from that. So here are my durations. This is the way I do it. And this is why learning Excel kind of pays off. So 1, you don't need it, but again, it makes your life easier. So A, B, E, F, H. So just put 1s where the process is. A, B, E, G, H. A, C, E, F, H. So how long is this pathway? Well, basically, I'm taking all these values and multiplying by these values. And I'm taking all these values and multiplying by these values. So what do we use? Our old friend, the sum product. And what sum product does is it takes this and multiplies it by all this. So sum product, one array, which is these values, times these values. And so this pathway comes out to be 15. Does that make sense? A, B, that's 3. Plus 6 more is 9, plus 4 more, F is 13, and H is 15. What do you know, it works. Now, should I retype all of that? Well, there is a shortcut. If you remember, these values are every time I pull down, it's going to increment 1 row. On the other hand, this isn't going to change. If it's not going to change, what you can do is hit F4, and it will automatically put in those dollar signs, which freezes those cells. And then I could just pull it straight down like this, erase these because I don't use it. And as you can see, I now have all the pathways. And so what do we know? In this case, the critical path is ABEGH, because that's the biggest number. Okay, now it's saying, and again, this is a hypothetical, say they want the pathway to be 12 or less. And all of a sudden, you have to buy a whole bunch of machines. So which machines do you buy? Well, your goal is to minimize the cost as much as possible. So now I want to figure out, how do I get the costs down? And the thing we need to look at is when you buy a new tool, like for example, let's just say A has a duration of 1 day. So if I buy a second tool, that'll go to a half. And then if I buy 2 tools, then it goes down to a third. So as you can see, the drop-off starts going exponential, and I'm not getting as much bang for my buck as I would really like to. So what I really need to do is not only look at it to figure out which one should I go after, which are going to be the cheapest, but instead of looking at this, what I should be looking at is, for example, if I get another A machine, all of a sudden that affects all 3 pathways. And considering all of them are above the critical path value, I need to start focusing on making changes. So the way to do it is look at how many dollars is it going to cost me? What is it going to impact? So that's 1,000 divided by the sum of the number of tools it's going to impact. I should say number of days. And so if I take this, and then I just drag it across. And as you can see, it doesn't affect D at all because D isn't on the pathways of any of these. keep in mind, this is hypothetical. It's not this. It's just to give you an idea of how to do this problem. So the next thing I need to think about is, what is my duration? Well, here I can just enter manually how many tools to be put in. Now, there is a tool that'll do this for you. It's called Solver. And I actually teach it in my TEM 400-505 class, Data-Driven Decision Making, because it's a really good data tool to learn how to use, but we won't do it here. You have enough to worry about. Anyway, so what's my new duration? Well, it's equal to, remember what this duration is, divided by 1 plus how many tools I want to buy. And so I drag this across, and these numbers equal these numbers because I haven't bought any tool. And then what's the total cost of buying these tools? Well, it's equal to how much it costs per tool times how many tools I want to buy. And we'll put that total over here, how much money I'm going to end up spending. So what do I do now? Well, look at this. Where are the lowest costs? Well, it's at $100. So let's buy one of these guys. And I get a lot of bang for my buck because 6 now goes down to 3. And what's my new pathway? And my new pathway, how long is it? Is equal to, again, our friend, the sum product, times what's my new duration, times what nodes am I actually using. So it's equal to that. What do we know? We can take this and we hit F4 because we're going to be using it over and over again. Drag it down. And so in terms of trying to reach a critical path at 12, guess what? This is already there. I don't have to worry about this anymore. I'm at 12 days. Okay, so now that that's at 12 days, what I need to do is, instead of just looking at the minimal value, I need to look at the ones that only affect these two. I don't care what happens to this path anymore. I only care about these two. Okay, so this is a possible winner. This one we've already used. Just for the heck of it, what happens if I go twice? Well, if I go twice, I only pick up 1 day, but it's $100 for that 1 day, and none of these is below $100, so that's okay. Now, what if I buy 3 tools? Oh, I only get a half. Yeah, that's probably not worth it. So I have 2 tools here. Now, I could go after this, or I could go after this, which is cheaper, the 333. So I'm going to buy 1 new tool, and it only gives me a half day, so maybe I don't want to do that. Let's go after H instead. Oh, that knocked off 2 days. That's pretty good. Now I only have 1 module to worry about, this 16. How do I get that 16 down? Well, now I need to look at everything on the pathway. B is only $125, so let's see what happens when we buy another B. Well, I go down a day. Okay, what is A, B, E? We already know about E. G. Oh, G is pretty damn expensive. That's $1,200. And so if I buy another one of these, I only get a third of a day. So now I'm in kind of a pickle. How do I get the number of days down? And so what it comes down to is, this is where you're going to start becoming inefficient. So a third gets me to 14 and a half. I pick up a half day, but it only costs me $100, so $200. What else do I have? The problem with G is G will get me there, but that's $1,200. The question is, do I need to spend that $1,200? Or is it cheaper for me just to keep buying machines here and continue to incrementally go down? Well, 6 times at half a day gives me 3 days, which is still a lot cheaper than $1,200. Or in this case, if I get 2 tools, I'm only going down 0.33. And for $400 a pop, what happens if I double this? And so at this point, what you need to do is play with it. Play with it and see where are you going to get the most bang for your buck. And right now, a half day at $333 is basically $600 a day. This is still, well, let's see, if we go one, that's $1,200, and it gets me way below. You have to see whether or not that's the optimal approach. And one thing, if you notice, is say I did buy one of these bad boys. What happens? What's my new critical path? It's this guy now. And that often happens. Once you start doing things, the original critical path may not be the new critical path. Another thing to keep in mind, can I have more than one critical path? And the answer is yes. You can have more than one critical path. Because what if all of these were 10.5, 10.5, 10.5? That means I have 3 critical paths there, and that can happen. Okay, let's talk about the last problem. And the last problem said do a resource table. And the resource table is actually in your lecture. Now, if you know how to use Excel and all, Excel will actually make the resource table for you. But for those of you who want to do this manually, what is a resource table? Well, let's say we work 7 days a week, Monday to Sunday. And so these are the first 7 days and these are the next 7 days. What does Dr. Cho always tell you? Maintain your discipline. Okay, so how does this project unfold? What happens on day 1? Well, I'm going to need 3 resource hours. So 3, Monday. Easy enough. What comes next? Well, B and C follow A. So B has a duration of 2 days and 6 hours. So 2 days, 6 and 6. What about C? 3 days and 4 hours. So 4, 4, and 4. Now, D can't get started until B and C both finish. If D has to wait for B and C to both finish, then D has to start here. Can't start here because C isn't done yet. So this is the first spot where B and C are both finished. And so what does D do? 7 resource hours over 5 days. So 1, 2, 3, and it means we're going to go into the next week for 5. That's it. And now if I wanted to do B and D, well, B is obviously over, but I have to wait for D to finish. So that means E can't start until here. And all you have to do this is a step at a time. Here's the thing about all these approaches. From this, you can figure out what the network diagram looks at. Because you have the precedences, you have the successors and what follows, and you know the duration because you can count the number of days. So from this, you can get the network diagram, and you can also figure out what the critical path is. And from table, you can get this, a network diagram, or from network diagram, you get this and this. And so, as you can see, it's all tied together. If you have any questions, let me know. And good luck on your quiz this week.